Welcome to the Gaggle, where we talk politics in Arizona and beyond. This week, the legislature makes it tougher for citizens to make laws, and who knew healthcare could be so hard? But we start first with Leah. Governor Doug Ducey started the year saying he wanted to give teachers a raise. His proposal will give them, this next year, a 0.4% raise, which teacher responded to by saying, well, that's about enough for dinner and a movie if you don't take a date. So lawmakers are coming back and saying, we think we can do a little bit better. What are they saying?
Yeah, they're kind of surprising people. They're looking at maybe double that. So maybe 2 dinners, 2 movies, maybe a date, we'll see. To look at 1% and kind of, see if that gets them a little bit more. You do have the Democrats and education groups actually really pushing hard for 4%. I don't know if they'll get that far, but it's creating an interesting conversation.
And what's the governor's office response to this?
He's doing his typical, we don't negotiate the budget with the media. We'll kind of see. I don't know how he feels about being won up by the legislature, especially when education was his big push in the state of the state. We'll kind of have to stay tuned for that one.
I think one time they should experiment and negotiate the budget through the media. I think we'd be up for that.
Yeah.
Ron, there was a big non-vote in Washington on health care last Friday. House Republicans decided not to make everybody go on the record on repealing Obamacare and replacing it. Where does it go from here?
Yeah, it's a good question. It's unclear where they go. The speaker was saying on Tuesday they might want to try again. There's perhaps some interest and perhaps some movement around the edges. Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell is saying the Senate is not interested in looking at this any further. The Arizona members that we spoke with, Andy Biggs and David Schweikert so far, have expressed an interest in moving forward, but there's still no clarity as to how you would accomplish that. The problem is that the Freedom Caucus, the far right wing of the party, has the things that are sort of a deal breaker for them. The more moderate members in the Tuesday group camp, there's just some things that they can't afford to give up, and there's just not enough overlap.
Well, could they just do a straight up repeal and then put a delayed effective date on it and say, see, we repealed it?
That's what Andy Biggs would like to do. It's not clear that there's the votes to do it. That feels like an awfully lonely perch.
See, Mary Jo making the case that they should negotiate through the media. She came up with a good idea
Facebook
right
Live.
there. I can tell you the moment I knew when things were not looking good for this is when the day before the vote was scheduled, you saw President Trump on the White House lawn kind of mugging for the cameras in that semi-truck. That just spoke volumes to me. So Mary Jo, the legislature, talking about lawmaking, they don't want citizens to have as much latitude as they have had in the past.
So lawmakers have already got one win that bans paying circulators per signature on petitions. They're coming back this week with a couple more measures that would further tighten that process. It won't totally shut down citizen initiatives, but it'll make it a lot tougher.
And how much? Quite a bit more money?
Yeah, it'll take more money. You're going to have to be very rigorous, making sure you dot all your I's and cross all your T's, and that nobody makes a mistake, because they're looking at a strict compliance standard for legally.
And what problem are we solving with all this?
We are solving the problem allegedly of fraud and the influence of out-of-state big money in elections. But how this will fix any of that is really unclear.
So what are you watching for this week, Mary Jo?
I want to see what the Senate does with Representative Jay Lawrence's bill to let people shoot rats and snakes in their backyard.
See if you can top that, Ron.
No way. It's unclear what's next in Washington. We want to know, is it health care? Is it tax reforms? Is it the war on coal? We don't even know what the agenda is now.
I'm watching the Gorsuch Supreme Court nomination to see if the filibuster comes through intact or if they have to blow it up to get him through.
I've got a different version of rats and snakes. It's striker season, so we're watching for all the bills getting snuck in on unrelated bills and what those might look like.
We'll slither back next week, so join us.